Let's continue system design. And today, our objective is to discuss some more system design concepts. So, the basic fundamental concept in the system designs, whenever you are designing systems, system is combinations of multiple components. Maybe your multiple database, multiple microservices, many kind of components. So whenever you are designing any system or in designing any system architect, you have to define the multiple components or modules or microservices, right? So generally nowadays each module or microservices designed for the specific purpose. So generally whenever any requirements you are gathering, like any e-commerce platform, the e-commerce platform have a multiple business, multiple use cases, multiple workflow. So might be one your list of product search and product view, and similarly maybe order management system, maybe payment modules. These are the different inventory management system. Okay, so all these are the different components, or you can say different services or different microservices. So generally this is a very basic concept. Whenever you designing any scalable architectures, you are going to decouple the customer use case or requirement to specific function, specific testable units. So independently, each modules or each microservices or each components are working fine. They are testable, they are deployable, they are workable. That's good and nice. But now one more challenge is we have to consider how these components which you are discussing sometimes might be need, they are exchanging data from here to here. Might be this microservice requires some data from this microservice, or this component requires some data to from this. So today objective, we have to think how the different component of my systems are talk to each other, are communicate to each other, are exchanging some messages or data to each other. Might be sometimes we have building my systems, my system can be interact to the file systems, maybe database system, maybe third vendor, another application, third party organizations. Like you want to evaluate the employee risk rating or customer risk rating, might be you are going to talk some risk agency that's are evaluate risk for a given customer. So this is completely different service, this complete different components, but still sometime we need to exchange the data. Means here our one components, one modules are trying to talk, or hey, I want to sum this message, and this machine, this component can understand and reply, hey, this is your requested data. So overall, one of the key concept in the system designs is that you are decoupling your system in the multiple components, and each components can need to talk to each other, communicate to each other, exchange data to each other. Even your own defined components or sometime your still complete system are going to talk any other system, maybe your internal systems, internal software, or maybe external software, maybe within the networks, maybe outside the networks, maybe government agency, maybe private agency, maybe cloud provider, somehow. So each and every places somehow you have to establish the communication between these two components. Yeah, more than two components. So today our objective to understand, while system designs, our responsibility, we have to also tell, hey, these components are communicating to via this way. or what are the different communication channel, what are the different communication protocols. So today our objective, we have to understand how one modules, yeah, one system can communicate to another system, or how send data, how send request, yeah, how receive, what the protocol, what the channel, what the rules, what the regulation, what kind of communications. Good example, I am able to communicate with you. How it's possible? Because we follow some certain rules and regulations. I am speaking English and you understand the English. So whatever I am speaking, you can able to understand. So this is also communication. So you can say whatever the language we as a human being we develop, this is the communications. And whatever the language you learns, you have follow some kind of grammar, some kind of rules and regulations. Why these grammars or rules regulation needed? Because whatever I am feeling, I convey my feeling, my thoughts to you. And if we follow the same rule, same meaning, we can easily communicate. Might be chance, might be possible. Two persons are trying to communicate. Maybe one is no English language, one is maybe no the Chinese language. Okay. He's also speaking, but both cannot make a proper communication because he is speaking in English, but he cannot understand the English meaning. Similarly, he is speaking Chinese, but he cannot understand the Chinese language. So communication happen, but there is not any exchanging data happen. He's the person is not able to properly convey his thoughts. So the rules and the grammars or protocols establish a proper communication channel between both, so that whatever one party is speaking, another party understand the same, and accordingly they can reply so that first party also can understand the meaning. So overall objective of the today is, let's understand how our system, our module, our component, our microservices are communicating within another microservice, within another components, or maybe in a different service, different component, third party application, third vendor applications, mainframe application, any kind of application you can say. So overall objective of the today's session to understand the communication channel. So let's talk in computers language, or in the computers world, you can say we are not generally saying language whenever communication happen between the two devices. Here in our human, we as a one human are can talk to another human, right? That's great. That is the whatever the language we learn, English, Hindi, Chinese, French, whatever, accordingly communication happen. So here we are not talking the human, but we are talking the machines, electronics device, maybe one mobiles, maybe one laptop, maybe one computer, maybe one server, maybe one tablet, anything. So here we are going to establish communication channel between the two devices. Devices may be mobile devices, maybe server devices, maybe your application, anything. So the terminologies, instead of language, in the computer science we word the standard word, the protocols. So protocols is the standard grammar or a standard rule or set of rules that's predefined by the standard organization, so that any two electronics devices or any computers, any servers are able to make the communication between tools. So here, so generally whenever you going to design system, our primarily objective is breaking down the complex system into the smaller components, and these components need to communicate with each other, maybe to exchanging data. So here communication means exchanging data. If I am talking to you, I am sharing some my data, information, thoughts to you, and similarly you are listening. So in the case of computers, we are not saying the language, you are not saying our feeling, you are not saying our thought. Instead, we are just saying data or information. So one device are sending, are talking, are exchanging data. Data may be information, data may be message, data may be video, data may be audio, data may be binary numbers, data may be numbers, data may be characters, data can be anything. So here exchanging data, data can be anything, whatever you see in your mobiles, your laptops, everything is data. So nowadays, in the era, whatever device we are using, you are using mobile, laptop, computer, server, and whatever you see, the characters, words, number, images, video, audio, everything considered as a data. So here, how these data exchange between the different components. So communication protocols play a crucial role to enabling the two or more devices or components or exchange data. So we are going to details how these communication protocol work, what kind of a communication, what kind of types, how which kind of which protocols as a system designer we should know while designing our systems. So basically, if you talk, communication can be two directional, or you can say communication direction. So let's now, I am talking with you, I am talking with you. Okay, so this is the one directional communication. I am speaking, you just listening. You are not doing any kind of response to me at a time when I am speaking. So this is known as a unidirectional communication. Means data flow in one directional only. That is, means client sends request to the server, but server does not respond or receive any response somehow. So here say one-way communications ki one party sending something, someone receive the data, whatever the data sent, but they are not responding anything. Or maybe the same time they are responding, at that time they are not receiving. So maybe you can say, maybe here unidirectional can be from both. Maybe this is the sending data, but this time they are not receiving. Maybe this is also sending data. So maybe in this way also unidirectional happen. If I am sending, you are only listening. If you are sending, I am only listening. So this is the unidirectional. And but sometime also the bidirectional data. Data flow in the bidirectional. That means both client send request to the server and receive a response as well as. So somehow these majorly you can say two kind of directional. One directional only exchanging data, and one directional maybe both directional. Means you are sending and receiving both. So unidirectional, only one direction data flow happen, and bidirectional where the both sender and receiver, both direction you can play a role. So these are the very deep how this happen, but as for the system designing perspective, you high level you should understand whenever you are designing the components, you have to ensure that your one components are communicating to another component. It is a unidirectional or it is a bidirectional. That means they can only send data, but they cannot receive any kind of data. But yes, no, they can send data as well, they can receive data as well as. So this is known as bidirectional. So B should be clear whenever you designing systems, or you must be talk to the client or technical engineer or implementation engineer. Hey, these two components are directionally. Which kind of directional? Unidirectional communication or bidirectional communication. Okay. So similarly, one more perspective of the communication. One perspective is the directional. One perspective about the synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. What do you mean is? Synchronous means that whenever communication happen, surely at least minimum two peoples or two devices are talking to each other. This is the basic rule. If as a human being, if I am going to talk, I need one person, I am another person from whom I am going to talk. Generally, two persons required. If two persons at the same time available while conversation going on, that is known as a synchronization. That means ki I am one and my friend is another. Both are available and both are the talking to the same times. I am talking, receiving, talking, receiving, talking, receiving, talking, receiving. Further communication happen going on. This is known as a synchronous communication. That means sender wait for response from the receiver before sending a text message. A client send a request to the server and wait to the response. Okay, that means I am speaking, and once my speaking done, I am expecting they response yes, no, good, bad, something. So somehow I am talking and waiting for the response. Done. That is my synchronous communication. Means ki our expectation, I am sending hi, I am waiting, you give me response, hey, hi, how are you? Okay. So after sending one message, I am just pause and waiting, you give me response. You give me response simultaneously after millisecond, microsecond. That means ki both party, both device are available at the same times. So this communication known as a synchronous communication. Right? A good example, I am talking to you, but at a time when I am talking, you are not responding to me. Might be this video is recorded and uploaded on a YouTube, and later you can watch. So this is not the synchronous communication. This is the asynchronous communication. Later part you read the message, or if you have any question, again write the comment box. Hey, these are my questions. So such communication as a asynchronous communication. So there are majorly two kind of communication. One communications where the sender and the receiver both should be up and response the same times. First ask one question, wait for response, return response, again ask next question, response. So generally all the conversation between your family, your college, your teacher, all are the synchronous communication. In our real life, generally mostly we are doing synchronous communication. I am talking with my friend, I am talking with my father, I am talking with my daughters. Generally daughter is front of me and I am talking. Maybe on the phone you can talking. So all are the same time. I am calling on a video call, phone call, all are the, you can say, synchronous communication, where the same times when the communication happen, both side, both peoples are able to responding to each other. This is known as a synchronous communication. And what is the asynchronous communication? Asynchronous communication like sending a message. You send the message, message is sent. At the time of sending, there is no any kind of urgency or required. Hey, you cannot send message until another person is available. So you can just send message. Message is stored somewhere. When this person after 1 hour, 2 hour wake up and open the message box, they can receive the message. So this is known as a synchronous communication. That means at the same time you are sending the message, but the actual designated party is not available. So whom you send the message? You send somewhere in the middleware, the packet message somewhere. So this is known as asynchronous. Means communication happen, but not the same time. Both parties are not available at the same time, receiving and responding. So all your text messages, all the email, text messages are also communication channel. Let's say I am sending an email to you. So I am typing my message and sending. That means not the guarantee you must be at the same time able to respond me and available. So this is the, maybe I send email, when you available, when you go on sit and check email what's come, I am responding. So generally text message, email message, like this is the I am recorded my video and uploaded you. This is all are the asynchronous communication. Means at the times of message generate, at the same time receiver is not able to responding or receiving. maybe couple of second, maybe millisecond. So generally all the messaging system or social media, you can say, where you are posting your video, your audio, your message, your photo, and whenever your colleagues, your friends open their mobile and go to the Instagram, go to the Facebook, go to the WhatsApp, and open the messages and check, hey, this is I received the photograph, I received the message, received the voice messages, everything. So all this is known as a asynchronous communication. Asynchronous communication where the both sender and receiver might be not available. This is no guarantee, this is not compulsory. Such communication might be both are available, might be case whenever you are sending message, I am also online, you are also online. So this is not meaning again the communication happens synchronous, no, because the senders are sending not message directly to me, but they are sending to the WhatsApp server, and WhatsApp server again responding, hey, this is the. So you are trying to whatever the communication happen between two, if their communication happen directly, so sender to receiver, this is known as synchronous communication and responding. Another way, hey, this is my sender calling data, this is my receiver receiving data, but they are not directly sending data to the receiver, they are sending somewhere the middleware, maybe your Gmail server, maybe WhatsApp server, somehow. So communication happen indirectly, you can say. Just I am send my message and you are just receive from that message. Whenever you are available, it's okay. Whenever you are sending, available. Same time not required. But the synchronous communication, both server, both device, both people must be available for responding. So then we can say this is a direct communication. This is the indirect communication. Direct means both party must be available. Party sender send to the direct receiver. But here sender sending, not directly receiver, but middleware, and middleware going to the send. Like generally you write the post letter. You write the letter and just send the post office, receive a letter, and again deliver to the your respective. So all the courier system, all your post letter systems, messages system, email system, your all the social media networking, all are the almost the, you can say, asynchronous communications. So here sender is not directly send message to the receiver. You can say sometimes say this is the direct, this is the indirect as well as are synchronous or asynchronous. Please be aware, you have to, whenever you are going to design system, you have to specify here I want synchronous communication or asynchronous communication. Both communications are required in the system designs. So as mentioned here, sender does not wait for the response from the receiver before sending the next messages. So client send request and server maybe continue executing without the waiting response. So as is simple, here sender sending message, not waiting, hey, customer is responding or not. Here sender send message and wait for the response from the receiver before sending the next message. So until first I'm saying hello, you are not responding, I'm just waiting, hey, you respond something, you respond, hi, how are you, then next communication, next message going on. So synchronous means direct communication, means key sender directly talking to the receiver. Here asynchronous communication, indirect communication, where sender is not directly talk to the receiver, just but middleware, some middle person, some middle server somehow, right? So this is known as a asynchronous communication. Now, so this is the kind of things we understand the communication directional, maybe unidirectional or maybe bidirectional. Similarly, communication can be direct between the sender and receiver, or communication can be indirect, maybe middleware somewhere, not direct, maybe asynchronous. So this is the different way of communication generally we are going to talk. So now basic question, how this communication actually, how the one components, one device actually understand the meaning of your questions, meaning of your message. So this is known as a protocol. So protocol is a set of rule and a standard that governs the communication between the two or more devices or components. So now the protocols is a set of rule that follow by the both device 1 and device 2. Both devices follow the same rules and regulation so that they can understand the meaning. Like you and me able to properly understand what I am trying to say, and you understand because I am follow the English grammar language, you follow the English grammar language, you know the same, I know the same, what the meaning of he, what the meaning of c, what the meaning of x and y. Similarly, this system also understand the grammar, this system also understand the grammar, and after that communication happen, this device understand the meaning. So here protocol is nothing just as a set of rule or grammar so that the two electronics device are able to understand to each other. So generally there are a very big topic about the protocols. We're not going to more discussion how detail happen, but understand this protocol define the formatting, time and sequence of data exchange, ensuring that data is transmitted correctly and efficiently. So protocol is the responsibility to ensure that whatever your data sending, what the format of data, what the timing of data, if the multiple data, what the sequence of data, and how these all the messages are delivered to the respective receiver in the same order, in the same timings, whatever they defines. So here protocol ensure the correctness and the efficient way to exchange data between the device or component or software or machines. So these the grammars is already defined by OSI, Open System Interconnect Model, and nowadays almost every electronics device want to communicate, laptop, computers want to exchange data, they follow some kind of these rules. Okay, so these are the 7 rule: application layer, presentation layer, system layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. And what the meaning of that, this grammar is understood by the every software components, or you can say every software or machines where the software is running, right? So in application layer generally just mention, hey, provider sending the message to the specific end user in application. Different protocols here I'm not going to talk. So similarly some conversion of the formatting happened, security layer implemented, TCP UDP protocol layer, similarly network layer, data link layers, and finally transmitted data maybe on the cable, wireless, or cable wise, yeah, wireless wise, yeah, Bluetooth wise, yeah, internet. All this technology are this is the very complete one internet networking subject. We are not going to talk here, but the high level you can understand. This is the grammars are open system interconnects rules so that every computers are able to understand the message sending, what are the steps way to send and what the way to read. Like if we everyone understand the grammars, what are the sentences, what are the verbs, what are the articles, what the tenses, so we can formulate the message properly. Similarly here, if two devices, two machines are properly follow these standards rules, easily one computers, one devices are able to talk to the another device. There is no hurdle. And nowadays these are very standard. Even you just understand these are the different, and the layer instead of say this is a simple protocol. Our protocol is a set of rules. All are the different rule, different context, different situation. So we're not going to talk here. Just you aware these are the all are the protocols. If you talk, generally say, hey, here I'm going to use the HTTP protocol or FTP protocol or SMTP protocol or DNS protocol. These are the application layer protocols. Or say, hey, here I'm going to use the SSL or TLS for the conversion, encryption, decryption, something. Or you can say, hey, this my message is transfer on the TCP protocol or maybe UDP protocol. These are the transport layer on where data is transporting from one machine to another machine. Similarly, I'm using the IP networking protocol rule, or I am using the internet cable or Wi-Fi cables, or maybe wireless communication. So these are the different, you can say, steps or rules of the any communication happen between the two devices or more devices. So let's now talk with respect to which majorly the protocols as a system designers we are using. So mostly we are using the generally any message, data exchange, maybe TCP or IP layer, means transmission control protocol or internet protocol these are using. Or sometimes generally all the synchronous communication happen using the TCP and IDP, and similarly all the asynchronous communications are generally we are preferring maybe UDP communication or TCP, HTTP protocol, also all the web communications we are talking. Sometimes you want to upload images, large file, generally we are using the FTP protocol. Nowadays different microservices are talking to each other, generally using the REST API. Lots of more protocol, but you can say yes. Similarly we are also using the asynchronous communication here. For asynchronous communications, this is the middleware. We can say messaging queue technology, or you can say advanced messaging queue. That means here the messages are stored for temporary in a queue. Maybe you talk about Kafka, RabbitMQ. One sender send message and another receiver receive message from the queue. So generally MTQQ or AMQP are different middleware protocols also available nowadays. So generally these queuing systems for the asynchronous communication and all other HTTP, FTP generally are REST. Generally we prefer the synchronous communication, maybe asynchronous communication we're going to talk, but these all are the different kind of protocol generally we have to aware while system designing. Sometimes our engineer asks these two components are communication or data exchanging, a message exchanging happen on the FTP protocol or HTTP protocol, or which protocol, REST API protocol using, which protocols are using, right? So if you talk one by one, like in TCP IDP generally suit for the protocol using the communication over the internet protocol, right now. And here most probably whenever you are using any web applications or email or file transfer, these are the generally can be your TCP, and that generally TCP communication is the bidirectional and synchronous communication. So this is the bidirectional and synchronous communication. Due to that, TCP and IP is a very kind of a secure channels. Similarly, sometime you can use the your UDP, use your datagram pattern. Generally here whenever this protocol used for transferring data packet, means generally you want to transfer maybe a video, maybe game, it's maybe live streaming something. So generally these kind of online gaming or video streaming, generally these protocols use, and this is the unidirectional and asynchronous communication. And similarly, if you talk about your HTTP, generally whenever we are using any opening any Google and opening any website, all the websites are generally we are sending some request and transmitting to the web data. So generally all are the web server or client interaction, means ki your applications is deployed and you are going to opening the browsers and getting requests as well. So somehow this is the request going and you are getting a response on your HTML form of browser. So these are the also kind of a bidirectional and synchronous communication. And similarly, sometime you want to transfer file over the internet, so FTP protocol using AMQP, generally file sharing or database backup, restore something. For those we are same. This is also bidirectional and synchronous communication happening between the FTP. Similarly, REST API, REST representational state of resources. Nowadays in the microservice architecture, generally one microservice are communicating to another microservice by the general REST API. So this is an architectural styles for the web service communication, microservice communication. and generally each microservices are exposing some kind of a REST API, web API, and that's are also the unidirectional and by default the synchronous communication default. But sometime we can talk on the microservices also communication happen asynchronous, but REST API generally prefer the unidirectional and the synchronous communication. And again, if we I close, sorry. So these are the whatever till now we discuss that are your asynchronous synchronous communication, and some communication might be bidirectional and directional. So yes, so here we are discuss about the MQTT. So here again we are going to talk the asynchronous communication. This is the asynchronous communication, and this asynchronous communication where sender sending messages not directed to the receiver. Receiver are receiving messages from the middleware. So this is known as a message queuing system. So generally lightweight protocol, generally all the IoT communications and a smartphone device, industry automation, generally bidirectional and asynchronous communication. So for that we are using your mass middleware, you can say MQTT as well as. And similarly, if you talk advanced level messaging queue as well as, where again this is the bidirectional and the asynchronous communication. Generally any enterprise level messaging, a distribution systems if it is running, and that is the message oriented protocol, and this is the middleware. Somehow this is the just message receiver from one party and giver to another party. So generally asynchronous communication, these protocols we have. So similarly whatever the we launch different kind of communication, directional communication, bidirectional communication, similarly the synchronous communication, asynchronous communication, and lots of protocols, maybe TCP/IP protocol, UDP protocol, FTP protocol, HTTP protocol, REST protocol, and messaging queue protocols. And thus these protocols are at the apply the different level. Maybe your hardware level, maybe software level, maybe application level, maybe service layer. So on which layer you are talking, please be specify, hey, this is the protocol or this is the communication channels we are going to use here. If you talk about the your one hardware communication, hardware level you're talking, so communication between the physical device such as any networking card or buses. So generally for this maybe USB, PCI, internet, this protocol use, and generally laptop or printer communication via USB. So these kind of some hardware level of communication also required in your application. So sometimes we need a kind of a software level of communication, the communication between the applications or operating system or firmware applications. So here you can talk about the socket or system calls or API. So generally operating system and web browser communications via your system call. So whatever your hardware operating system install, on the top of operating system you are installing your software. So this software might be talked to the operating system call or OS call. So somehow you should aware about the socket handling, system call, the maybe socket programming you also aware. Sometime generally while nowadays while system design, generally we are talking more application or system level. So here your applications or services communicating, maybe application or services or microservices generally prefer by default we are building application maybe HTTP or REST or gRPC or GraphQL. These are the standard protocols you have to tell them, and generally nowadays in all the microservice communications in the cloud-based e-commerce platform using the RESTful API, gRPC API, and this communication can be bidirectional, synchronous, asynchronous, depend upon the your scenario, your user request and performance kind of things. Okay, so where we have to decide this microservice communication, synchronous communication or asynchronous communication, directional or bidirectional, depend upon the scenario. Similarly, multiple instead of application, multiple services you are deployed, and maybe cloud services or maybe messaging queue. So generally these kind of services talk to each other using the middleware. So maybe the advanced protocol like messaging queue or MQTT. Similarly, Java as a Java standard Java messaging middleware where, so somehow you to use the messaging queue middleware, and messaging queue provide in generally cloud enable application using the maybe RabbitMQ, ActiveMQ, Kafka, many messaging queue you can say, and these are again bidirectional and the asynchronous program. Generally, wherever you talk somewhere the middleware, some middle party, middle server to receive the request, and the sender and receiver, then you can say asynchronous communication. So all kind of protocol channels we as a system engineer must be aware, and depend upon the situation we have to use. It maybe different according to different domain, different kind of applications. We have to tell, hey application, in this component and in this protocols, this communication channel is preferable channel. As a system designer, our responsibility, we have to know this protocol, know this channel, so that we can tell the team. Let's talk, if you're working designing system for the IoT kind of application. So generally you are going to the lightweight machine to machine communication protocol or MQTT or COAP. Lots of protocols nowadays available. We as a system design engineer should be aware what kind of protocol between the such IoT devices going to the happen. Let's say you are building or deploying application on cloud using the cloud computing serverless. So in this scenario, generally our applications are accessible by HTTP API, REST API, gRPC API, AMQTP protocol as well as, and some machines are communicating. So we also ensure that our communications happen between the devices by networking. So TCP IP protocol are using, or UDP using, or FTP using, or secure power secure cells using you. So you have to similarly sometime how database communication happen, maybe how you talk to the database, generally SQL language, or similarly NoSQL database, MongoDB, Cassandra, each have a different kind of languages, protocol, communication channel. You should aware how to talk to the database, how to talk to the networking, how to talk to the applications, and you should tell them to the engineer, hey, these are the specific protocol, this is the unidirectional or bidirectional, here we can use synchronous or asynchronous communication, and this protocol is suited for that. Okay, if you look these almost all the applications, whatever the industries you are working, each and every component or services or applications are exchanging data. They are must, without this communication protocol it's not possible we can complete any kind of our applications. Okay, so whatever the big you can talk about the Netflix is the RESTful API for communication between the microservices, and also they are using the gRPC communication between the service and client communication. AWS also using the HTTP and the REST communication, as well as AR simple SQS, simple queuing middleware. They have a one messaging queue. So AWS have a own messaging queue, SQS, simple queuing services, the messaging queue, where the asynchronous communication between the two microservices, two component, two applications. If you want to establish, just AWS offer the SQS as a messaging queue. Similarly, if you talk cloud, also cloud, Google Cloud also use the gRPC communication between the services, and also using the pub sub kind of a messaging queue. Again, for asynchronous communication, all the big organizations or applications generally use the messaging queue. Messaging queue means middleware. One service where I am talking messaging system means the middle services, middle kind of a person, and one microservice, this is the one microservice want to talk to another microservice. They just send one message to the middleware, and they are subscribing here. This is the publisher message. Hey, I want to communicate to this message to a specific microservice. This specific microservice also subscribe here, and they can start communicating, start activities, whatever the data here. So such kind of a pub sub messaging queue, and similarly AWS have a SQS messaging queue. Similarly, just explore lots of open source messaging queue. Might be you can know RabbitMQ, Apache own have a, similarly Kafka own have a lots of messaging queue available for the open source as well as the paid. Okay, if you talk about the similarly Facebook also use the using the Thrift is the one of the RPC framework where the communicating services, or Gfite is the matrix tool for the data collection. So these are the very basics, you can say example, but you can say you can look any application example. Each applications are exchanging data, sharing data, and that is only feasible, only possible through the communications protocol. Whatever the communication protocols, as an engineer, as a system designer, our responsibility, we have to understand these protocols, our channel, because so be clear whatever the your components, microservices you are designing, that's good. Decoupling whatever the custom whatever system you are designing, decouple your, break down your system requirement in a multiple smaller components, and build a smaller component via the microservices or any specific architectures you want. And maybe this is a microservice can deployed on the one cloud, so also ensure that how they are going to the communicate. So here, while the establish communication between the two component, two services, you tell this is the directional, what is the directional communication, unidirectional or bidirectional, and this is synchronous communication or asynchronous communication, and which protocols you are following, maybe HTTP, FTP, UDP, TCP. So these three questions maybe your system design implementation can ask you, you as a system architect or system designer, your this is you choose according to your use case. Hey, here I am going to use the unidirectional synchronous communication on these protocols. Okay, similarly here I am going to use the bidirectional asynchronous communication on this protocol. So you have to tell the specific protocol, direction, and synchronous and asynchronous, because each have a different advantage and disadvantage. You have to if you decided any protocol, this is our responsibility. We have to also look some basics of those protocols. What protocols of header, what the format, what the sequence, how their community, what level of reliability, what level of security, what level of encryption, what level of decryption, what level of error detection and correction happen if something. Why if surely you want your message should be correctly transferred from one message to another without loss of any bit of data, then you can go to the TCP, IDP, or some kind of a maybe live streaming, some data, some frame can be loose, go with the UDP protocols. So please be aware which kind of protocols we are going to specify for these different component, different microservices. Might be your system are going to interact or communicate to any third vendor service, third microservice, any government agency or any private agency. So which protocols you are going to their talk? You are going to call by HTTP, FTP, SFTP, private network, public. What kind of channels? Maybe gRPC protocol, HTTP protocol, lots of protocol nowadays we have. So we should aware, because there is not only your designing system, breaking down a bigger system into smaller function, different microservices, but you also tell, hey, here HTTP, here REST, here gRPC, here SSH, here FTP, here UDP, here TCP communication we are going to establish. Okay, so hope this will give you the little idea how the two machines, two software, two microservices, two applications are going to communicate. and according to the your label, hardware, software, applications, you have to choose your specific protocol. While choosing the protocol, you have to be clear, hey, this is the directional, unidirectional, here communication synchronous, asynchronous communication, here I want to communication data should be secure or insecure, encrypted or encrypted. Lots of kind of questions anyone can be asked. So lots of, if you read the details about these protocols, so whatever the message you are sending on the internet, over internet, the message is going to transfer. So this message you are, whatever the message you are transferring, this message is transfer plain text, or you want to transfer via the encrypted format. Anyone between while the transportation layer, someone can, some attacker or hacker can hack and read your message. If very sophisticated, very critical information you are transferring on the internet, you have to ensure that our message or the data or we are transforming that must be encrypted, so that, and which also ensure that this message is only reach the actual designated party. So you can use certificate, SSL certificate, security. So lots of security parameter here question arise about the while selecting protocol. So only selecting protocol is a good, but also you have to do what kind of data you are exchanging from one device to another device. This data is transferred over the internet. Please be aware, on the internet lots of hacker is ready to hacking your data. So if you are transferring some simple hello message, text message generic for everyone, that's good, that's fine, go to transfer simple text. But what happened, you are sending some your password, some credentials, some more banking transactional details. Surely you don't want any hacker can read my message. If the message is very plain, anyone can read, right? So what those scenario, you can encrypt the message, decode the message, and then transfer. Here, while sending the message, you can completely change, encode your message, encrypt the message, and on the receiver side, once receiver receive, again decode the message. So here encryption, decryptions, symmetric, asymmetric, lots of you can say data security concept also we have to consider. So as a system designer and engineer, we have to know the lots of cryptography. This is the again the new topics, maybe later somewhere we talk the cryptography, how you are ensuring that whatever the data exchange happened between my two software component, two devices, that are transferred securely and that's are go to the designated person. How this system, how this is also system, this is also system, how you are ensuring that this system always going to the right the person. How does system identity happen? So lots of here HTTPS secure transfer, certificates, identification, authorization, identity authorization, identifications, authentication, authorization, everything also placed in the data exchange. So lots of things about the data exchange. Surely we cannot cover everything here, but as a system designer, high level, you should aware while communications, exchanging data between the two machines, two server, what the kind of communication you decided, what kind of protocol you are deciding. This protocol are secure or insecure, data messages transfer is the encrypted or decrypted, we are using proper handshaking, proper security parameters, maybe certificates are applied or not, SSL certificate, TLS certificate labels, right? CSIN certificates, lots of things, but be aware because someone can ask if you propose any kind of protocols. Okay, so please be ready because the message, the data you are exchanging over the internet, big risk about the security. So while system designing and you are thinking my system are communicating to the government agency, a third party agency, or some vendors, and message we are sending our transaction detail on the over internet. So we are ensuring that our message, our transaction details are not read hacked by the middleware between our transportation times. So hope this information give you basic idea about the communication, exchanging data between the systems. Thank you.